Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Vivek Gopalpuria and I am Associate Director of Product Marketing at Replicon. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their busy schedules to join this webinar titled Reduce Costs with Automated Time Tracking, which will include a live demo and a Q&A session. I am joined today by my colleague Madhu Punacha, who is the Lead Solutions Engineer at Replicon. In today's webinar, we'll be discussing the topic of how automated time tracking can help organizations reduce costs, what the benefits of using a solution from Replicon are, and we'll quickly also see what some of our customers have to say about our solution. Today's webinar will feature a short 30-minute format to get information out to you quickly and allow you to get on with the rest of your day. Madhu will spend the majority of the webinar giving you a demonstration of the product. But prior to that, I'll be giving you a brief overview of Replicon and our solution benefits. So let's get started. Before we get started, however, I wanted to review a few housekeeping items and let you know how you can participate in today's webinar. You will be kept on mute during the presentation, but you can submit your questions at any time during the presentation by using the questions text box located at the right panel of your screen. Questions will be addressed at the end of the webinar. Without further ado, let's get on with the presentation. Replicon is the world leader in cloud-based time tracking applications. We are used by organizations across countries, across industry segments to manage time and attendance, projects and programs, professional services organizations, and shared services resources. We have about 1.5 million users across our 8,000 strong customer base. We are extremely proud of our customer retention rate, which stands as a testimony to the fact that our customers love our solutions and benefit hugely from them. Looking at few of our customer logos, you will see that there are enterprises from small and medium sizes to really large companies there. This shows that while we are able to deal with the simple and quick implementations needed by smaller companies, we are able to handle the complexities of processes at large organizations as well. Let's look at the benefits of using Replicon's time tracking solutions. Automating your time tracking with Replicon streamlines the process and the downstream processes that use time tracking data. It helps improve productivity by reducing time spent on cumbersome administrative tasks. With our solutions, human intervention reduces and business rules are automated and applied consistently across the organization. So it effectively lowers compliance risks. It improves data accuracy, lowers cost of errors and audits. Advanced analytics provide complete visibility into time and resources and help organizations make those decisions to keep them profitable. Here is what few of our customers have to say about how we help them increase efficiencies and reduce costs. Flight Center had a manual time tracking and reporting process for absence management that could no longer satisfy the company's growing needs. They automated with Replicon and immediately saw improved absence management, enhanced visibility, and better decision-making capabilities, reducing overall time for reporting by 50%. In case of Geodigital, again they had a manual process involving spreadsheets for managing approvals of the time. Lack of a uniform system and process for employees required 2 full payroll staff over 3 days to process payroll. With Replicon, they were able to streamline the time tracking process and the payroll processing was cut down to 2 days with a single resource. They were effectively able to handle the field employees as well as seamless integration with the payroll systems. For bank tech, tracking hours associated with multiple projects being executed was a daunting task, and there were huge concerns about accuracy, reliability, and inability to make business decisions. They again streamlined time tracking for projects with Replicon, and they were able to get complete insights to manage projects better. And the reporting time again decreased from 3 part-time members to 1 part-time member. Fisher Vista had no visibility into profitability, a critical business requirement for them. they used Replicon and immediately saw 85% increase in productivity with valuable time back that could be used for billable projects. Now Madhu will quickly demonstrate how a solution helps streamline time tracking, increase productivity, and help you save those valuable dollars. Over to you, Madhu.
Wonderful. Thanks, Vivek, for that insight here with regards to Replicon. So I do want to confirm that my screen is shared. So would appreciate you could confirm, Vivek, that you're able to see my application here.
I'm able to see it now, Madhu.
Wonderful. Thanks again, and welcome everyone to this webinar. I want to take the next few minutes to walk through the product and highlight some efficiency features that constitutes to reducing the cost and eventually contributing for your payroll efficiency. Now, when we talk about efficiency, it starts with the timesheet, which is from an end user standpoint. So as you can see, there are a lot of capabilities in the system that are several factors that are going to help the one which matters the most, and that is the end user interface. Now, you might be having a timesheet that you're currently using, which is like a decades old, but giving a cleaner interface for the employees is that much more efficient. And Replicon has spent a lot of money on providing that cleaner interface, as we don't want to burden the end user to have them spend a lot of time in filling up the timesheets. So with that, the timesheet that we are seeing is based on Web 2.0 technology, which we call it as a smart interface. So when we say smart interface, it has the smart filtering and dynamic search criteria, where as an employee, I can search for a project or a task using the search field, or I could use the smart filter. Now, based on the projects that I'm working, I can choose the appropriate project and the appropriate task or subtasks that are associated with that project. Now, based on the task I choose, our system helps you to configure. So you can configure the rates that are associated with that project. Now, in Replicon, we call it as a role-based billing rate, which means based on the role I'm going to play in this project, I could have multiple rates assigned to me, which could be defaulted if there is only one billable rate. Now, based on the task, I can choose the appropriate billable rate and enter the time that I might have spent on that project or a task. Now, we also have something called a comment field, where you can enter any high-level comment with regards to the project, which is, again, completely trackable through our robust reporting. Now, towards my extreme right, you see a progress bar. Now, this progress bar allows the project managers to get a real-time visibility in terms of how they are progressing towards the project. So this is nothing but the comparison between the budgeted versus the actual hours. Now, we talked about ability for the system to be configurable. Now, Replicon does provide that. So based on the timesheet period that is currently that you want to have your company or organization that is currently following, based on that, our system can completely be configured based on the timesheet period that you're currently using for your organization. Now, our system, currently the one I'm sharing is like a weekly timesheet period, but we also support like a bi-weekly, a semi-monthly, or monthly timesheet. And based on the timesheet period, you will have a due date from an end-user standpoint when they need to submit their timesheets. Now, our system allows you to set up email notifications to notify your users when the timesheet is due. And we also have email notifications when the timesheet is overdue, and you can set the frequency in such a way it keeps reminding them unless and until they submit their timesheet. Now, let's say I'm going to work on the same set of projects for the next week. We also have the copy from, which will allow me to copy the timesheet from my historical timesheet. Again, a very nice functionality to have to ensure the efficiency or the usability from an end user standpoint. Now, we also have a workflow in terms of timesheets. So based on the workflow that has been set up, I can see who are my approvers, and once submitted, an email will be triggered to the necessary approvers. Now, similar to timesheets, from an end user standpoint, if I have to request for time off, I'll also see the time off tab on the navigation bar on the top. So when I go into the time off tab, it takes me to this intuitive calendar view, where based on the permission that has been assigned to me, I can either see my individual time off request, my team's time off request, or the entire organization's time off request. And as you can see, I can see the time off request based on color codes, and these color codes signify whether the time off request was approved, waiting for approval, or rejected. Now, you also have the flexibility to create different time off types. So as an end user, I can select any of the time off type and see my balance as of today. Again, a nice functionality to have. Now, requesting for time off is pretty straightforward. I can either select a date when I want to request, or I can click on this Book Time Off tab here, where I can select the time off type and see the balance as of that day and request for a time off right from this view. Now, similar to timesheet, you can also create a separate approval path for time offs. So based on that, I can see who are my approvers, and once submitted, again, an email will be triggered to my approver as well. Now, moving on to expense from an end user standpoint. As an end user, if I'm allowed to request for expense, again, I will see the expense tab, which by default takes me to this dashboard view, where I can see the historical expenses that I've submitted in the past. Now, to request for a new expense, all I need to do is click on Add Expense, which is going to take me to this expense sheet, where I can put in a brief description, the reason I'm requesting for this expense. I can tag it to a client in a project. Now, based on the project I choose, you can filter the appropriate expense codes and, select the appropriate expense codes that I input for that in an expense and, request for expense through this way. I can also choose the payment method that I chose, like maybe if you're allowing any of your corporate cards, that could be defined over here so that the employee can select the appropriate corporate card and submit it for approval right from this view. Great. So this is from an end user standpoint that we just went through how the user can, submit the timesheet or time off or expenses. Now, from an approver or from a supervisor standpoint, team section is where I would be landing in, where I can see all the timesheets, time offs, and expenses that are waiting for my approval. Now, with regards to timesheet, I get to see the dashboard view, where I can see the employee, the timesheet period, and the total hours for which he has submitted. So I can approve or reject the timesheet right from this view, or you can drill down into the timesheet to verify the projects that the employee worked, and based on that, I can approve or reject the timesheet. Now, either I approve or reject, we have a workflow again. So based on the workflow, I can put in my comment, the reason why I'm rejecting the timesheet, or even if I'm approving, I can put in a comment, and then I can approve or reject. Again, an email will be triggered back to the user stating that the timesheet has either been approved or rejected, and any comment as an approver I might have entered in here. Now, the same thing goes for time offs as well, where I can see all the time offs that are waiting for my approval. So I can approve or reject right from this view, or I can go into the time off calendar view to see if it is conflicting with somebody else, and based on the availability, I can approve or reject the time off from here. Now, from a supervisor standpoint, I also have this team balance, which is going to show me all my direct reportees with regards to different time off types and their balance as of today. Again, a very nice view to have from a supervisor standpoint. Now, same thing goes with expenses as well. So for expenses, I can see all the expenses that are waiting for my approval. So I can approve or reject the expense right from this view, or I can drill down into the expense sheet to take a printout for auditing purpose, or probably I want to verify the receipts for which the users have submitted, so that I can cross-check right from this view and then approve or reject the expense from here. Yeah, everything looks good, so I can go ahead and approve or reject the expense. Great. So this is from an approval standpoint. Now, moving on to the project management section. Now, this is where, as a project manager, I would be spending most of my time. So as soon as I go into the project management section, I would see all the projects that has been assigned to me filtered based on the status of those projects whether they are tentative, the in progress, the completed, and so on and so forth. I also get to see the dashboard view where I can see the overall status of my project. So I can see how they are progressing. So I get to see the comparison between estimates versus actuals in terms of hours. I can also see it in terms of cost and in terms of billing as well. A very nice tabular dashboard view from a project manager perspective. Now from here, I can drill down into that specific project to go more granular to see the progress of those projects in terms of different time frame. So I can see that comparison in a much more graphical interface where I can see it, for quarterly, monthly, weekly, and even at a daily level. I can also use the slide bar at the bottom if you want to focus on a specific date range. Again, that is an option available as well. Now, once you have seen the overall status of your project, you can drill down into the different tasks that are associated within your project. Now, this is where you would create your project structure. And once you've added the project structure, you go to the team section. Now, this is where you add resources to be a part of your project. And also, you can tag all the expenses and the billable rates that are unique to that specific project. Now, all projects can be grouped as one program. Again, that's a nice functionality to have because let's say I'm a department head and I want to see all the projects that we are working towards my department. So once I've grouped those projects as one program, I get to see the dashboard view at a program level or at a department level. So I can see these are the projects that are working upon with regards to the my department. So I can drill down into my into that program and see the summary view which we saw at a project level. Now we can see it at a program level. And I can administer all the projects that are worked upon with regards to my department and see the progress of those projects right from this view as well. Now, similar view, we also have it at the client level, where as a client manager, I can see all the projects that are tagged to a specific client and see how we are trending towards those projects. Now, in terms of reporting, reporting engine at Replicon is quite robust. It gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of customizing your report. As you can see, I have a list of canned reports from where I can customize, or I can create my own report by clicking on New Report, selecting their template, and customizing it from there. Now, one of the good reports that would be interesting is the project billing report. Now, this is a nice report to see for a specific client in a project. What are the actual hours entered by the employees? Out of those hours, I want to know how many were for billable, the non-billable, the costs associated with that project, and the actual billing that we need to bill for that client. Now, I have all the necessary filters that I might need with regards to this project. So for instance, if I want to see for a specific client called Advantage Technologies, I can use that as one of my filters and see the details that are pertaining to that project right from this view. Now, everything looks good about this report, but there are certain columns that I would love to have in this report, which is missing in this report. All I need to do is go into settings, where I have all the data points that I need in terms of reporting. So I just need to enable those columns. Once I've enabled those columns, I can arrange them by dragging and dropping it exactly where I want to see those columns in my report. You can also group them. As you can see, currently it's grouped by client, which means it's going to summarize at the client level. And also, one of the key functionalities that our reporting offers is this custom column. Now, when I say custom column, what it does is it will allow you to use available data points in Replicon and use logical operators or logical conditions similar to the way we use in Excel to generate a value for me. I can choose the format the output needs to show in my report. I can also name the column exactly the way it needs to appear in my report. Now, once you've added all the necessary columns, you can run your report, and then you now have the flexibility to export this report to an Excel, a PDF, or in an email format. And also, let's say project billing is a nice report for me to see on a weekly basis. I can always schedule this report. So I can go ahead and select the recurrence. So let's say I want to see this every week, starting from this week, and I want this report to be sent to all these users, and I want to be send that in an Excel format. So once I schedule, what happens is every week an email will be sent to all these users with the report that they're supposed to see in the format they're supposed to see, which means you don't even have to log into Replicon to run a report. Replicon will send a report in the format and at the time slot that you have scheduled. Again, a very beautiful functionality to have. Now, moving on to the billing section, again, a very key functionality that we have released. So the billing manager will be very excited to see that you can now see all the clients that you are working towards and all the projects that you're working towards that client. And you can see how many hours has been entered towards that client. Out of those hours, I can also see how many were for time and material and how many were for fixed bed and also the expense rendered towards those clients. Now, I can easily, export the information, like for a specific client, if I want to tag an expense or I'm sorry, all the timesheet details, and I want to tag it and create an invoice, I could do that, or I can select for a specific month and create a new invoice out of this right from here and manage those invoices from the invoice tab. Now, Replicon has an open API, which means we can literally integrate with any of the third-party invoicing system, because we still don't have the in-house invoicing functionality. But again, we can literally integrate with any third-party applications. So with that information, as a billing manager, before I push the data into my invoicing or into my accounting or a payroll system, I want to make sure all the users have submitted their timesheet and have been approved by the necessary approvers before I push it to my invoicing or accounting system. Again, a nice functionality to have. Similar view we also have at the payroll tab, where as a payroll manager, I can see all the historical timesheets, time off, and expenses. And also, this is just a sample file that we had created for ADP, where we match the data points that you want to push from Replicon into your payroll system. So you're just one click away from exporting this data into your payroll system, which means there's no manual work involved, which means you're reducing the cost that is rendered towards updating this information. Now, in terms of administration, one of the key things that I want to mention is the email notification. So Replicon has email notifications which can be enabled at the user or at the supervisor level. And the best part of our email notification is it's not like a plain text format, it's a rich HTML format, and also it gives you the flexibility of customizing your email templates as well. So you can change the content of that email right from this view. Great. So that's something I wanted to cover. Back to you, Vivek.
Thank you, Madhu, for such a great presentation. We'll now be going ahead with answering the questions that have come in. Let me remind you again that if you have any questions, you still have time to submit them in the questions box located at the right side of your screen. So the first question is from Lisa. She actually has a couple of questions around approvals. Can we have multiple level of approvals, and can we set due dates for timesheet submissions and approvals?
Very good question. So the answer is yes. So Replicon supports up to 5 levels of approval, which means it can be set in a hierarchy, or it can be set, with regards to who needs to be first level of approver or who needs to be the second level of approver. And also the timesheet period can be configured based on your pay period as well. So yes, that is something we support out of the box.
Great. Another question coming in from Sarah. Does your system have any mobile applications for Android and iPhone?
Great question again. Yes, we have native apps for iPhone and Android. So that could be downloaded and the employees can use that.
Great. We talked a little bit about integrations, but again, there is a question from Steve. Can your solution integrate with MSP, ERP, and payroll systems?
Oh, yes, we do. As we mentioned, Replicon has an open API, which means we can literally integrate with any open APIs. So yes, we already connected with Microsoft Project and all the ERP systems. So yes, we can integrate.
Great. Susie is trying to find out about ability to manage time of liabilities for the organization.
Very good question again. Yes, we have the out-of-the-box report for the time of liability, which will give us, for a specific employee, how much we are liable for that time off, that the balance that he has. So yes, that is something we support as well.
Great. Adrian asks, how soon can the solution be implemented?
Again, a very good and a tricky question, I would say, because it completely depends upon the data that you want to integrate or the data that you need the Replicon to be updated within our system. So I would say we would take somewhere around 2 to 4 weeks. But again, as I said, it completely depends upon the data that you want to be updated in the Replicon solution.
Great. Jim asks, are we able to help with resource forecasting and managing resource utilization?
Yes, we do, and those are some of the reporting capabilities. Using those reporting capabilities, we have out-of-the-box report which could be utilized. And also remember, all reports can be scheduled, which means you don't even have to log into Replicon to send those reports. Replicon will send those reports on a timely manner.
Great. That was the last question. So in case any of you want to contact us, you can do that about the at the above email ID. And we thank you again for your time. Have a great day.